night, you wouldn't know the border was so bad. This was right here, this arrow on the bottom, lowest ever. This is made by Border Patrol. That's the lowest ever we had for illegal aliens coming into our country. And that was the week I left office. That's the lowest ever. Now, this chart is very dear to my heart for another reason. This was the chart. I said, let me see it. But it says a lot. And we had a couple of instances last night where things were mentioned, so I got it. Did crime rise under Trump and fall under Biden? They said it rose under Trump and they go, no, the opposite is true. Take a look at this here. It said, is it true? Did crime rise under Trump and fall under Biden? No, comma, the opposite is true. This was a study group that went out and doesn't care. They do the numbers. And there was another one that a historical comparison of the collapse of law enforcement in U.S. cities, the drop in arrest rates over the last few years is without precedent. Lowest arrest rates we've ever seen. They don't arrest people anymore. And they shouldn't arrest people for saying the election was rigged, but they like that. They go after guys like me, but they don't go after people that kill people. It's a shame what's happened in our country, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to win big, and we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast. Thank you. Thank you. We'll bust up and dismantle the gangs, savage criminal networks, and bloodthirsty cartels, and we will stop the fentanyl, and we'll make sure that Kamala Harris has and all of the people that she's allowed to come across the border. Don't forget, she was the border czar, whether she wants to hear it or not. She still is. You're right. Thank you. In fact, she could do it right now. You know, they like to talk. It's all nonsense. That Donald Trump stopped a bill. I was opposed to it. So was everyone else. It was the weakest bill. Under that bill, millions of people would have been allowed to come in. This was a weak bill. But you didn't need a bill. I didn't have a bill. I said, close the border. And that's how we got to those numbers, the lowest ever recorded. I said, close the border. I didn't have a bill. I didn't need a bill. She doesn't need a bill. Biden doesn't know where he is. So where is he? Whatever happened to him? He got out. He got out. He's now sunbathing. He's in a beach someplace. But all he would have to do as president or her is say, close up the border. And it's closed. But they don't want to close the border. Because when they first took over, I had built hundreds of miles of wall, and I had 200 miles of wall in addition to what I said I was going to do, because certain areas needed it. As we closed areas, other areas became very, very strong in terms of people wanting to come through. So I bought 200 additional miles. It would have taken them about 3 weeks to erect it. We were all set to erect it. Then we had a terrible election take place, terrible election, and everybody here knows that. And I realized that they don't want to do it. And they actually sold that, and that was designed to the highest specifications of, when you look at the steel, it's concrete, 5,000-pound concrete inside, and then rebar. And it also has a lot of technology, wires and things in it for high technology. It was designed to the highest specs of the Border Patrol. I wanted actually concrete plank. I would have done a beautiful job with precast, like you have in parking garages, long span. It's called long span precast, but they had to be able to see through. I understand that. They needed certain things that you can't do with concrete plank. So we did that, and very expensive to do because you needed all sorts. In other words, they wanted the steel, they wanted the concrete. It's all different methods of very hard to cut it, very hard to do it when you have different substances, and then very powerful rebar inside. And what happened is, as soon as they came in, they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. They sold this stuff for somebody made a lot of money because that steel is very valuable, but they sold all of that, hundreds of miles of stuff. You saw it stacked up for a long period of time, where they stacked it up in an area because Texas wanted to use it and finish the job. We built hundreds of miles, but Texas wanted it. They would have paid for it. They didn't. They refused to sell it to Texas. They refused to sell it to Arizona. And they refused to sell it to anybody. They sold it to the junkyards, I guess, and 5 cents on the dollar. On day one, I will seal the border. I will stop the invasion. We had the border sealed. I had Mexico. I had thousands of soldiers from Mexico, free of charge. I said to the president, you must give us soldiers because they're coming through. The caravans are coming through your country. No, I cannot do that. I said, yes, you'll do that. If you don't do that, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars. And he said, I will do that, sir. And he did it. He did it very quickly. And it really, you guys heard all about it, made a great difference. We had thousands of Mexican soldiers guarding our border. I said, look, they're coming through your country. You have to guard your southern border, which is their border on the other side. And all of a sudden they started, and we had Remain in Mexico. It's called a Remain in Mexico policy, which we never had. And they stayed in Tijuana, different places, hundreds of thousands of people. They didn't come into our country until they were checked. And then if they were good, we let them in. If they weren't, we wouldn't let them in. And we worked well with Mexico, actually. But now Mexico has really taken advantage of our country. They want billions of dollars just to talk. They wouldn't say that with me. They wanted, I think, $2 billion to talk, right? We will talk. We want $2 billion before we even start. That wouldn't happen with me. I would say, oh, really? Is that right? That's the end of trade with Mexico. And they would say, sir, we will give you $2 billion. How about that? So I'll send Kamala's illegal aliens back home where they belong. We have a problem because when I came in, they wouldn't accept MS-13 gang members. I told the generals we're going to get the gang members out. ICE and Border Patrol, the job these people do, but ICE would go into the country, get the MS-13 gang members out, the meanest, the most vicious. They kill people with knives. They killed 2 young students walking to school, 2 beautiful young 16-year-old girls walking to school. They killed them up and chopped them up into pieces with knives, dead. And ICE goes in and they go into those packs of rough people. And ICE is rougher than they are. These are incredible, brave patriots. A lot of people wouldn't want that job. You see fists and feet, you see everything flying, and then 2 minutes later they stand up and they grab them and they throw them into what they used to call a paddy wagon. They put them into planes, they take them out. The countries wouldn't take them back under President Obama. And I said, really, they're not going to take them back? Well, if they're not going to take them back, I'm going to stop paying them. I said, how much money do we pay these countries? Because I believe in law enforcement. The other group doesn't. It's always an honor to be with our brave men and women in blue and in brown, frankly, and in various colors, because it's not always blue. But these are great people, and you just don't do better. They're brave. They're under assault, and they have a lot of difficulty with the laws of our land, and we're going to get rid of that difficulty because they shouldn't have difficulty. Our police, men and women, have the backs of law-abiding citizens every single day. They take care of what they have to do in some very adverse conditions, and when we go back to the White House, you're going to see support, the likes of which you haven't seen certainly in 4 years. We worked very closely with the police all over the country, as you know, gave them billions of dollars of excess military equipment that was in warehouses all over the country that the Obama administration refused to give. And it was just drawing dust, magnificent equipment, but it was just getting old, sitting in warehouses. And I hope you guys got some of it, right? Did you? Because I gave it, and it was billions and billions, and it was nothing going to happen with it except the government was paying lots of rents all over the country for big warehouses. And it was an honor to have done it, and it helped a lot of the departments very, very much. I want to thank Livingston County Sheriff Mike Murphy. Mike, thank you. Thank you. Where is he? Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. What a great job. So respected. All of them. This group is highly respected. Mason County Sheriff Kim Cole. Kim, thank you. Van Buren County Sheriff Daniel Abbott. Thank you, Daniel. President of the Police Officers Association of Michigan, James Tiganelli. James? Picking the wrong side. Where he is? Where are you? Come on over here, James. Let's go. Get over here. Come on. Is he allowed to stand with you guys? I don't know. Stand up there, James. How are you? Thank you, James. Representatives John James and John Molinar. These are great warrior people. Wherever you are, where's John James? There they are. Oh, look at you guys. You don't get the best location because you want your constituents to be treated so well, right? Huh? Thank you both very much. We appreciate it. Done a great job. Your next U.S. Senator, he's really working hard, and I just saw a poll that doing very well. Mike Rogers. Mike? Thank you, Mike. Congressional candidate Paul Young, who is polling beautifully, I think. Paul, good luck. Good luck, Paul. You're going to do it. And Michigan House Republican leader Matt Hall. Matt? Thanks. Oh, thanks, Matt. Great. You look the role, Matt. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Matt. Hey, you're right. That'll be next. Right? Thank you very much. Michigan Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt. Eric. Thank you, Eric. Great. Nice seeing you again. Doing a good job. We're here today to talk about how we are going to stop the Kamala crime wave that is going on at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And she is, as you know, the most radical left person ever even thought of for a high office, certainly for the office of president. People don't know the real Kamala, but I do, and people that do what I do, they also know. But she is so far left that nobody can even imagine, and her real thoughts are there. You know, she's changed. They call her a flip-flopper at the highest level that they've ever seen in politics because she's come out with policy and for years defund the police. You don't mind defunding, do you, fellas? Would you vote for a defunder? Would you vote? By the way, your people that you protect don't want defunders either. But she's been there until just recently, but she's always been for defunding the police. And the person that she's running with, Tim Walz, is equally far left. This is the most far left group. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And the press is giving them a free pass, and you're not going to have, if it was up to them, you wouldn't even have the men behind me, people behind me, representatives behind me. You wouldn't have them. They wouldn't have a job. They think it's going to just police itself. Everything's going to take care of itself. Her father is, as you know, a Marxist professor, and he obviously did a good job. But this is where she's coming from. And, you know, you see her now with a smile, and she's gotten rid of the laugh over the last couple of days. I don't know. I haven't seen her laugh. They've told her, don't laugh, please. But I'll bet inside she was laughing last night when she saw the way Joe Biden left, because that was a coup. That was a coup. And I'm no fan of his at all. And it started with the debate, and from that point on, it just got worse and worse. But that was a coup. It was a vicious, violent overthrow of a president of the United States. Since Comrade Kamala Harris took office, her administration's crime statistics show she's presided over a 43% increase in violent crime. These are all government numbers. 43% increase in violent crime. I'll bet the people behind me don't have anything like that. It just gets better. It doesn't get worse. Including a 58% increase in rape, 89% increase in aggravated assault, and a 56% increase in robbery. The crime in America, the fact is out of control. I watched last night in amazement as they tried to pretend that everything was great, the crime was great, the border was great, there wasn't a problem at all, no inflation, no nothing. There has been a report that the job numbers over the last period of time were fraudulent, and I understand that because I know how the job numbers go, and you want to be a bad person in high office, you can be a bad person, but the numbers are going to be revised, that the job numbers were far less, at nobody's ever seen 600,000 to 1 million people less, jobs less. And let's see if that turns out to be true, but that's what the rumor is. It was reported by a very respected outfit group. and we'll see what happens. But that's a terrible insult to our economy, because we were seeing numbers that were okay, not great, but now we're seeing numbers that, when they're adjusted, are a disaster. But crime in America is out of control. I'm going to make it, along with the economy, inflation, strong borders, and energy dominance, my top priority. I'm including crime in America. You know, normally that's done locally, and we're going to give the local people a lot of help, like I did initially, but not that much. We had a lot of great numbers coming out when I was president. Now we're seeing numbers that are just absolutely horrific. The Democrats are holding their convention in Chicago in order to showcase it. And yet, as you know, on 4th of July weekend, 117 people were shot. Of the 117, 17 were killed. This is 4th of July weekend, and 40 were shot last weekend. I don't know how many were killed, but assume a lot. And that's a war zone. That's worse than Afghanistan that we read about all the time. Speaking of Afghanistan, the worst and most embarrassing day in the history of our country, in my opinion. We left 13 dead soldiers, 47 obliterated, just obliterated, the arms, the legs, the face. Left people behind, and we left $85 billion worth of equipment behind for the Taliban to use as it sees fit. And they're selling a lot of it because they don't need 700,000 guns and rifles. They don't need 72,000 armor-plated vehicles. They're one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world right now. They're selling our equipment because they said, by the way, would have never happened with me. Abdul would never have done that. But they said, we didn't have anybody shot after my conversations with the leader of the Taliban. 0 shot in 18 months. We had nobody lost in 18 months. He knew that he was not going to do that. I knew that. But now you look at what's happened, and it's back. You know, we would have kept Bagram. That's the big air base, not because of Afghanistan, but because it's located 1 hour away, from where China makes its nuclear weapons. So it's 1 hour away, and we had it, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We built it for billions and billions of dollars.